Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. I'm Yasmina Greco. I'm with O'Reilly Media, and I'll be your host for today's webcast. We'd like to begin today's webcast by saying a big thank you to Sisense for sponsoring our event, and we'd like to let you all know Sisense simplifies business analytics for complex data with an end-to-end platform that empowers business users to prepare and analyze both large and disparate data sets. By enabling ESA data mashup, Sisense delivers analytical insights on complex data that is immediate, comprehensive, and autonomous, all for a lower TCO. Sisense's in-chip analytics and open single-stack platform eliminate typical bottlenecks, providing business users with autonomy from IT and enabling business to get immediate insights with comprehensive access to all their data at the most granular level. Sisense maintains low TCO without the need for additional data preparation or storage tools, even as data size and complexity grows. Thank you again, Sisense. Folks, joining us from Sisense today, we have Aviad, and he is going to be talking to you about how democratizing embedded data analytics is changing the BI game. Aviad Harrell is co-founder, VP, OEM, and Field Engineering at Sisense. He brings his proven track record of bringing innovation and sustainable solutions to product lifecycle, development, and customers despite the uncertainty and challenges that may come. Aviad earned a BS in Computer Science from the Interdisciplinary Center in Herzliya before co-founding Sisense, and he served as the Director of Products and Services. Aviad is now responsible for driving maximum customer value and impacting long-term strategic client partnerships in his role as VP Solutions Engineering. Folks, we're very excited to have Aviad with us today to present this webcast for you all. As we get the event started, I'd like to go over a little housekeeping to help you get the most out of today's webcast. First, you'll want to open your group chat widget if you haven't already done so. This is where we can interact with each other and where you can submit your questions for Aviad. We find that our audiences usually have a lot of good knowledge to share, so we encourage you all to chat freely during the event. However, if you have any questions for Aviad, please preface them with a capital letter Q. That way, we'll know they're for him, and we can make sure we see it for Q&A. You can also open, move, and resize any of the other widgets. We do want to let you know that we are recording the webcast, and we'll have the recording ready usually within 48 hours. And with that, we will begin the webcast. Folks, we have a polling question on the screen for you, and we'd really appreciate it if you could take just a moment or two to respond, and this will help us to understand who our audience is today. The question is, what is your current BI implementation? And if you could just let us know, do you have none? Is it homegrown, visualization only, data warehouse only, or both data warehouse and visualization? If you could just please answer that. All right, we're going to close the poll in 3, 2, 1. All right, we're going to look at the results here. It looks like a good majority of today's audience are using both the data warehouse and visualization. Thanks so much, folks. And just one more quick poll here. Are you currently embedding BI into your application? Yes, you're currently embedding it. Have plans to embed, or no, you don't have any plans to embed. Please, if you could just take a moment to respond, we'd appreciate that. Okay, now we're going to close the poll in 3, 2, 1. Perfect. Many of you have plans to embed, so hopefully today's webcast will really give you a lot of benefit when you hear Aviad speak. And folks, I'm now going to bring on our speaker. Hi, Aviad.
Hi, everyone. Thank you, Jasmine, for the nice introduction. So, as it was mentioned, my name is Aviad Harrell. I'm one of the co-founders of Sisense, and today I'm going to talk about how democratizing embedded analytics is changing the BI game, and in particular, how is Sisense doing that? I would like to start with a very short overview of Sisense and what we're doing. So Sisense was founded 12 years ago, which is in 2004. Currently, we have about 1,000 customers spread among 52 countries. We won a lot of awards during the time, and in particular in the last 3 years. We're currently ranked top 2 at Gartner in terms of business benefits, ease of use, customer service, and usability. We are growing constantly for the last 5 years, 100% year over year, which makes us very, very proud, because it is one thing to sell a product. It's a completely different thing to make a customer renew our product after 1 year of actually working with the product. Derived from that, or you probably understand that we sell our product in an annual subscription model, which again derive a lot of the DNA of the company, which makes us focus on customer success and the successfulness of the implementations of our customers. We are happy to announce that we were able to secure until today about $100 million in VC money by Bessemer Ventures, DFJ, Opus Capital, and few other VCs. Among of our customers, you can find many companies, about 1,000, as I mentioned earlier. Few of them are the biggest companies in the world, such as eBay, Airbus, Siemens, Philips, NASDAQ, and many, many more. Alongside with them, you can find smaller companies. We're selling, as I mentioned earlier, our product in an annual subscription model. As the title of today's webcast implied, today we're going to talk about embedded analytics. So just to give you a reference about Sisense business, about 50% of Sisense business comes from OEM or embedded analytics, which means that 50% of our business comes from customers that takes our product and embed it into their product. And we invested a lot of efforts in making sure that we have a very good and solid value proposition for those kinds of customers. And today I would like to try together with you to list the value proposition for embedded analytics, and to try to explain why I think we are very successful with customers that would like to embed analytics into their product. I think, and again, reflecting back to the subject of today's webcast, I think that what we were able to do in Sisense is to democratize embedded analytics, meaning we were able to simplify traditional approaches of business intelligence in general, and also the embeddiness, or how to embed a solution into a product dramatically. By simplifying those two pillars, I believe we were able to be so successful in the OEM line of business, or the embedded analytics line of business. So in order to achieve that, I listed 6 items, as you can see in the slide, that I think, according to our customer base, are the main items, or the main qualities of our offering that makes our platform very appealing to OEM customers, or customers that wants to embed our product. I will quickly review those. We're talking about advanced embeddability, the ability to embed components of a dashboard into other web-based application easily and quickly. The ability to customize the existing solution of Sisense so it will fit the target product, and obviously it goes without saying the white labeling of the product. Time to market, it's something less technical that relates directly to the integration, but reflects directly about how long it takes you, or how quickly it takes one to produce results with the product. Time from data to insights. And we'll talk later on why it's so important in general in the BI industry, and in particular for product houses that wants to embed analytical products into their product. Mobile embeddability, the ability to use our product in mobile devices. In our modern times, it goes without saying. A product that minimizes the hardware cost and minimizes the operational cost is a product that provides a lot of value for a product house that wants to embed this product or this platform to his platform. Why? It's quite obvious. As a product house, my main value of the product is probably not the embedded analytic parts. The embedded analytic parts or the analytical part that I would like to enhance my product, it's maybe an important part of the offering, but not the main offering. Therefore, we need to make sure that the embedded platform is as cheap or minimizing the cost, the total cost of ownership of that project into the product as a whole. So, as I mentioned earlier, as I gave you a debrief of the elements, we're going to talk about scalability and performance, accessibility, customization, extendability and automation, embeddability and nativeness, agility and time to value. We'll go over each one of those items, and we'll discuss about each one of those items in general, and we'll give it the shades of Sisense. So let's start. Scalability and performance. In general, if you think about it, if you have a platform that enables you or empowers you to achieve your analytical goals on a commodity hardware and enables you to process big amounts of data on that commodity hardware compared to other technologies that requires a clustered solution, for example, you will benefit from two main things. One is time to market. It's very easy or much easier to maintain and deploy and implement a single node or less node solution compared to others. Secondly, the scalability of the solution is much more maintainable. What you can achieve on a single machine, other technologies needs more machines in order to achieve the same capacity in terms of data size and in terms of serviceability of number of users. So this is in general about scalability and performance. How Sisense achieve that goal? So one of our main IPs is what we call Elasticube Server. Elasticube Server is a very powerful, sophisticated analytical query engine that we developed in-house in Sisense, completely in-house in Sisense, that empowers end users, simple users, business analysts, for the sake of the argument, to connect to multiple data sources by themselves, pull data from those different data sources by themselves, mesh those different or disparate data elements together into one unified data mart, all by themselves. And I'm talking about non-technical users, all by themselves. And at the end of the day, it encapsulates the challenges of working with complex data. What makes data complicated? Mostly two main reasons. One, big amounts of data. When you're working with 500 million rows, you need some old-fashioned, very technical approaches how to allow access to users for those amounts of data, such as aggregative table, complex indexes, and many other DBA's fireworks to allow access to those amounts of data. With Elasticube, it's completely transparent. Working with 500 million rows is exactly like working with 50 rows on, again, a commodity hardware. Secondly, when data come from different disparate data sources, the ability to mesh it up together, the logic that you need to apply in order to mesh up those different data elements is not simple. And with Elasticube, we simplify it dramatically. How are we doing that? What's the secret sauce behind the scene? So it's a combination of few technologies that I will take you through those technologies that provide that or those great capabilities. It's a combination of in-memory database, columnar database, in-chip analytics, and crowd-accelerated analytics. And I will give you a few words on each one of those pillars of the technology. So in-memory database, it's something not unique to Sisense, obviously, and the concept is relatively easy. You take a database, you upload it to the machine RAM, and you get boost in performance, right? The problem with that is the glass ceiling of the sizing, meaning if your data size is 50 gigs, 50 gigs will be occupied in the machine RAM. I'm putting aside compression. And this is only for one model, and this is for a single user. Every user will consume more machine RAM, and every extra data model, let's say another 50 gigs worth of data, will be occupied in the memory again if you need that. With ElastiCube, fortunately, we didn't stick only to in-memory solution. We combined it with columnar database. Columnar database, again, nothing unique to Sisense in that regard, is a different way to store the data. And again, I'm oversimplifying, but instead of keeping the data as a collection of rows, we're keeping the data as a collection of columns. There are, excuse me, there are huge benefits of storing the data in that fashion, specifically around aggregative queries, which are the most common queries in analytical projects. The combination between those two technologies is it's a major part of the ElastiCube IP. The combination between the columnar database and the in-memory database provide what I refer to just-in-time memory database. So you theoretically can have a very big data set and a very wide data set. In a given query, or at a given query, in query time, ElastiCube is smart enough to upload to machine RAM only the relevant columns to that specific query. Now, a generic query consists of, I don't know, 5 columns, 10 columns, 30 columns. It's a very small fraction from the entire data set. And ElastiCube ability to populate the machine RAM with those columns is very, very efficient as well. Every bit you save, because of the columnar nature of the ElastiCube, you can utilize in the in-memory aspect of the ElastiCube itself. In-chip analytics, this is topics that describe ElastiCube very good ability to utilize modern CPU's architecture, and in particular L1, L2, L3 caching components within the CPU itself. It provides boost to performance, much like the in-memory databases provided boost in performance compared to disk-focused databases, utilizing the in-chip memory components, and together with vectorization and SIMD parallelization, the in-chip technology provides another layer of boosting the performance, and by doing that, simplifying the ability to work with big and complex data to our users. The last pillar of the ElastiCube technology is the crowd-accelerated analytics, which is in many ways Sisense's ability to learn the behavior of the users and to cache in an analytical level the queries or the intermediate queries of the users, and by doing that to optimize future queries that will be executed against ElastiCube. This is how Sisense provides the scalability and the performance to our user base and to their BI project, and in particular the embedded project. Again, the value or the benefits of that is much lower total cost of ownership, much more maintainability of the solution because of much leaner infrastructure required for those solutions. And on top of it, the skill set required to spin those kinds of projects is much lower or much more democratized. The next item that makes embeddability easier or commoditized is accessibility. Ability to natively connect to multiple data sources. And the technical connectivity is only one aspect of the ability to connect to multiple data sources. So theoretically, if you connect to a data source and you are prompt with 5,000 collections or 5,000 tables, you practically cannot do anything with that. You need some kind of abstraction layer that will enable you to, as a business user, that will enable you to derive some insight, to understand how to work with the data. Again, assuming you are not a DBA and you are not 100% technical and familiar with the actual data model of the underlying system. Second item in the accessibility is the democratization of data preparation. So if we will be able, and we did apparently, to empower business users to do some ETL tasks or to conduct some ETL tasks by themselves, if we'll empower them to connect by themselves to multiple data sources, to pull data from those data sources and mesh it up together all by themselves, in Excel-like approach, we believe we simplify dramatically the skill set and the project of creating data application A to Z for business users. Analytical engine, it goes without saying, all the fancy backend capabilities of connecting to the data, great performance, and all of those wonderful qualities of the product are in many cases meaningless if you don't have the analytical engine that empowers the users to ask the analytical questions that they need to ask. It means, first of all, analytical engines that allow them to ask very sophisticated analytical questions in a relatively easy manner. How did we achieve that in Sisense? So we created our own analytical language. We call Unified Analytical Language. Don't be worried about that. On top of it, we created a very powerful graphical engine that is the use of that analytical language from our users, so they won't need to write any syntax. They're able to utilize that language and to ask very sophisticated analytical language questions, by themselves, by utilizing that GUI engine based on our analytical language. Lastly, is how you consume the results of your analytics. So the standard or the traditional dashboards goes without saying. This is something that obviously you need to have a rich dashboard capabilities, very visual appealing visualizations. But in our modern times, it's just not enough. So we believe that in our modern time, to provide all the accessibility required to our users, not to access the data, but to consume the data, we also invested effort in allowing our users to create Sisense bots, either Skype bots, Slack bots, or whatever. We have what we call BI Everywhere line of products that includes compatibility with Alexa and Internet of Things. So basically, we empower users, or we enable users to talk to Alexa, and ask analytical question, Alexa. Alexa takes that human language, transfer it to analytical language, execute those queries against Sisense, and verbally communicate the results. So this is about accessibility. Let's talk a little bit about extensibility and customization. So you have a wonderful and very powerful platform that allows you on a very simple infrastructure to achieve great results, to connect to multiple data sources, to work with big amounts of data, to empower business users to create their great analytics. Now you want to embed it into your product. My vision around the ability to embed dashboards or analytics into other products is around few pillars of extendability: embedding, enriching, customization, and solutionization capabilities of the product. Meaning, let's talk about customization to begin with. You have the Sisense dashboard that you created, or whatever dashboard that you created. Customization means your ability to customize it to tweak it so it will communicate properly and visually with your product. This is customization. Enrichment or extendability is your ability to add new capabilities to the product and not just customize it. Solutionization is your ability to take your platform and to use it as a building block, part of a bigger project, as one of the moving parts of a bigger project. In order to achieve it in Sisense, we invested a lot of efforts in our APIs or API sets. And few words about that. We understood very quickly the importance of being able to properly embed our platform into other platforms. Therefore, when we developed the product, we decided on a product strategy or a product development strategy we call API first. So every feature that you can find in Sisense platform, we started by creating API sets that acting as building blocks, and later on we utilize those API sets to actually implement the feature. But more important is that later on we expose those APIs to our user community. So they will be able to utilize those API calls in order to customize, enrich, and solutionize whatever BI project that they have in mind. Obviously, you can find a lot of documentation about those capabilities in our publicly available documentation. We have a very vibrating community of developers that constantly using our API sets and contributing to the community in terms of very cool customization and implementation that they contributed to the community of our developers that utilize those API sets. Part of the documentation that I just referred, obviously, we're using the modern approaches of how to document REST APIs and general JavaScript APIs such as Swagger and such. So it's very important to understand. If we're going through different types of API sets that we've incorporated into our product, you can find few kinds, and I'm generalizing the discussion, few kinds or few chapters of our extendability or API set. The one and obvious one is the JavaScript API set that enables our users to programmatically change the interaction with the dashboard, enhance specific widgets, customize existing widgets, and tweak the GUI interface of the platform itself. A second set of APIs is what we refer to as the plugin framework of Sisense, which enables our users to take whatever JavaScript-based widget that they find, let's say, online, let's say D3 widgets, for example, and to implement a specific interface. And by doing that, they can add that widget plugin to the system, to Sisense system, as if it was a native widget into our in the system. This is something very powerful and very popular among our developer community. REST API set is or the way we enable our users to programmatically manage the system and workflows introduced by the system of Sisense, especially when you integrate it. The Sisense Shell API is the API set that enables you to tweak the ElastiCube itself, meaning to start a new ElastiCube, to refresh a new ElastiCube, to accumulate data into an existing ElastiCube, to detach an ElastiCube, to attach an ElastiCube to a different environment, to move data from one environment to other environment, and basically allows you to create a lot of automation, especially when you're working in embedded environment. Embeddability. The ability to embed the product into other products, and we're currently focusing on the web interface of Sisense. We're doing it in two different approaches. The more traditional or conservative way, the well-known iframes. So we completely support iframes for quick and very contained embedding net, but we also introduced Sisense.js. Sisense.js is a very modern approach in JavaScript that enables our users in a very customized way to embed Sisense either widgets, dashboards, alerts into other containers. For example, as you can see in the short animated GIF that you see here on the slide, you can see a container which is not Sisense container. It's an open source container in which we inject Sisense component into the different containers within that solution. So you can see Sisense widgets, either numeric APIs or the different chart or visualization injected into few different areas into that web page. That web page, it's not Sisense web page. It's a completely third-party customized web page that we embed Sisense into it, as I mentioned earlier, by utilizing Sisense.js. Agility and time to value. So we discussed about the infrastructure, how easy to connect to multiple data sources, how easy to mesh up multiple data elements from disparate data sources, how easy to work with big amounts of data, how easy to create analytics with Sisense. But let's talk about the entire project. And I missed the embeddability, as I mentioned earlier, the quick ability or the highly customized ability to add and customize the product into another product. But all of those are technicalities around the actual deliverable, which are the insights. So within Sisense, we believe we came up with a BI methodology that takes modern R&D methodologies into practice when you develop a BI project. The Agile project, okay? So unlike traditional BI solutions, within Sisense, what we push our customers towards is to create some kind of a very agile or iterative process when they develop, when they develop the BI project. And I will try to illustrate it in some diagram. So this is the diagram that illustrates the iterative process. And let's put it into a use case, a specific use case. Let's say that, for example, we have a department in a sporadic company that wants to analyze the performance of that department, up to down, right to left, whatever. Now, they are not sure how to start that project because what do I need to analyze, right? This is the most basic question. So Sisense advice will be for that department is to do it slowly in very formalized sprints that provide value very, very quickly, and I will try to explain how it works. So our first advice for that department will be to start very, very slowly by creating an elastic cube, let's say with 2 tables that analyze only one discipline, only one dimension of questions. For example, how many phone calls each one of my sales reps did every day. And then we can start analyzing it by groups, by geographical location, whatever. In order to do that, we have to pull only 2 tables into our elastic cube. For example, the table that holds all the account executive or the sales rep names, and the table of the phone logs, okay? By correlating those 2 tables, one that comes from the CRM system and the other table comes from the log of Skype, let's say, we can start creating those analytics. So back to our case, that department will start by creating that very simple elastic cube with those 2 tables, okay? It will take them, I don't know, 20 minutes or so. After they will do that, they will go to the front end, okay? They will build that elastic cube. They will go to the front end. They will start to drive or to create analytics on top of it, actual creation of a dashboard. For example, they will start with a pie chart that see the contribution of each team in the sales department to the number of calls every day. For example, it will analyze the peak hours of the phone calls, whether it's in the morning, noon, or afternoon, for example, only based on the two tables that we drive till now into the Elastic Cube. Once we're done with that, we are prompt with the first dashboard that we developed, and it took us very, very quickly to produce that dashboard. Now, this is only the starting point of the entire project. The next phase will be to go back to the Elastic Cube, to the data model, and to enrich it by connecting to another data source, let's say connecting again to the CRM, pull another data element into the already existing two tables, let's say transaction table. We'll add it to the already existing two tables, we'll correlate it to the existing data model, and then we'll go back to the visualization, the already existing visualization, and enrich it accordingly. We'll add more widgets that now analyze the performance or the win rate of each one of the phone calls, or the win rate of each one of the sales reps. So this is the iterative model that I've described, that I mentioned earlier. This is a very powerful implementation model because of few reasons. The first one is that you get to see results on the same days that you started to get results. Secondly, it gives you the ability to achieve MVP, minimum viable product, very, very quickly. Why is that so important? Every product house knows that you cannot plan your product detached from the actual user. So sitting in the sketching room and sketch the desired product that you want for a few months and then implement it for a few months and then introduce it to the market is the wrong approach, because without the immediate feedback of the market, you'll probably derail to the wrong result. Understanding that, having an agile approach of developing the BI solution by having an MVP very, very quickly, in let's say few days or few weeks, introduce it to the market, get the feedback from the actual users, and go back to the lab and adjust the outcome, the dashboard, the data model, or enrich it, or to add another set of dashboards. This is the right approach and the modern approach and the most efficient approach to introduce more capabilities or to create more, new products into the market. So another example will be, and this is the last example that I will take you through today, will be an R&D department. Let's say R&D department, this is a practice I've seen with few of our customers that took Sisense and embedded it internally. We have a customer that wanted to create some kind of analytics to better monitor the R&D work. In order to do that, he had to mesh up data from two different data sources. One is Jira. I hope you're familiar with that platform. It's a platform to log bugs and feature requests for R&D. And the second data source is Zendesk. Okay, Zendesk is a support ticketing system. Okay, so that R&D department wanted to see the correlation between tickets and bugs in the R&D. They wanted to see the correlation between the user experience expressed in the field and expressed in tickets, user tickets, compared to version releases that are monitored in Jira as well. So they took Sisense, meshed up those two different data sources, very quickly introduced the first dashboard internally to the R&D organization. Then they took that dashboard and pushed it into Confluence, which is another platform, a very well-known platform, a web platform that a lot of R&D organizations or modern R&D organizations are working with, and took those dashboards and embedded into their Confluence implementation, which is something that they find very, very useful. So in a very short period of time, they were able to create the insights out of the data, the different data sources, and their ability to embed it into their existing web platform, aka Confluence in this case. So this is a manifestation of the agile process that I mentioned earlier that R&D organization went through. It's exactly as I described earlier. Understanding the project, plan it, and then go through very quick iterations of connecting to the data, building the data model, creating the dashboards, releasing it, get feedback, and go back to the lab, connect to multiple data sources or additional data sources, enrich the data, build it, enrich the dashboard, release it, so forth, so forth. This is an example of the dashboard that R&D organization incorporated into Confluence by utilizing that implementation approach. Last slide of mine today, and thank you very much for being very patient with me, is a slide that gives you a slight understanding of the kind of customers that use Sisense as an embedded solution for their already existing products. They all find it, as I mentioned earlier, very, very agile, quick time to market, customizable, enrichable, solutionizable, and all the items that we mentioned earlier. This is it, basically. We will spare some time for Q&As. We can see that there are a few questions listed already. Let's see which one we can pick and see if we can answer it very, very quickly.
Thank you so much, Aviad. Yes, we do have some questions that have come in. And folks, we do want to let you know we are at the Q&A portion, so if you have any questions for Aviad or what he's been talking to you about and showing you on the screen, open your group chat widget, send it in, and we'll take as many as we have time for. Right, we have a question. Do you see the questions, Aviad?
Yes. There is one question that I screened. Let's see. How Sisense compared to Jasper software for embedded analytics. So Jasper software is an excellent product. I've worked with it in the past, and I'm quite familiar with that. In many levels, Sisense, mostly because of the ElasticCube technology that I mentioned earlier in the session, provides our users the ability to create much bigger project in terms of the ability to work with much more complex data. So Jasper software, though it has some kind of analytical engine, it's mostly focused on visualization. In that regard, is lacking the power or the great powers of analytical engine or best-of-breed analytical engine such as ElasticCube that reduce dramatically the infrastructure and the complexity of the data project from the perspective of the data. If the data is not complex, and by complex, as I mentioned earlier, either big or complex in terms of the schema itself, if the data is not complex, Jasper software is a very good solution in that regard. Let's see. Okay. Is it realistic to expect to be ROI positive on embedded analytics? If so, what are the possible business models we should be thinking about? This is a great question. I actually took upon myself part of my responsibility of the OEM line of business of Sisense to create some kind of a business model that at least tries to capture the ROI of embedded analytics. So there are few ways to generate revenue from embedding analytical solution to your product. The first one is by improving win rate. So let's say you have a generic product which doesn't have analytical aspect of it. You probably losing money or losing to competition because you don't have it. Just by adding that aspect to your product, your win rate can be improved and improved dramatically. So just by doing that, you can see the obvious ROI that you can bring to the table by adding that. In our modern times, if you think about it, every modern product has some kind of analytical aspect part of it. In our modern time, working based on or taking decisions based on hunch is not acceptable anymore. Therefore, every modern product has some kind of analytical aspect part of it. So this is in regards to win rate. Second aspect or second dimension that can generate revenue is improving churn rate. So you already have customers. In our modern times, customers are constantly checking the market, they're checking the competition. If you don't have analytical aspect in your product, they might turn into another product. So by adding that into your product and by using embeddable product, you can add it very quickly to your product, you will improve your churn rate. Another dimension is increase the price of your product. So you sold your product for X, okay? Now you can sell it for X plus, I don't know, plus Y, which is the extra value that your customers get from having embedded analytics or analytical part of your product. So this is how I see embedded analytics can drive revenue into an existing product, and this is how our customers model or calculate the return on investment of when they embed Sisense into their product. Before we jump to the next question, I would like to introduce one of Sisense key R&D members, Manny Cherbakovsky. He will take the next question. Manny, please read the question and provide your answer.
Okay, hi everyone. I got this question. Does Sisense have a JavaScript API built for embedding or just for dashboard customization? Aviad talked about the plugins. In Sisense, we can edit plugins and create plugins for widgets or dashboards. We can also customize dashboards and widgets by editing the script inside the Sisense product. But we also have the other option of embedding Sisense inside other application. The thing that Aviad told you about Sisense.js. Using Sisense.js, you can just using a JavaScript API to embedding dashboards and widgets and filters, and it's just like creating your own application using our Sisense API in order to embed your widgets inside your web pages.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Manny. Highly appreciated. I would like to thank you, everyone, for participating in our webcast today, and I would like to thank Yasmin for hosting us and helping us accommodate today's webinar. I would like to thank Manny for taking his part and participating today's session as well. I hope you found today's session valuable for you, and that's it. Thank you very much.
Great. On behalf of O'Reilly Media, we'd like to say a big thank you to you, Aviad, for spending your time with us today and for presenting an incredible webcast and for sharing all your knowledge and expertise.
Thank you very much.
Great. And we'd like to say a big thank you to everyone that attended today's webcast. And I know we had people joining today from all over the world, so a big thank you to those of you that got up early or stayed up late. We sure hope you've benefited from the webcast. And folks, as we close out, we do want to say, of course, a big thank you to SciSense for sponsoring the event and let you all know that today you learned SciSense simplifies business analytics for complex data with an end-to-end platform that empowers business users to prepare and analyze both large and disparate set data sets. By enabling easy data mashup, SciSense delivers analytical insights on complex data that is immediate, comprehensive, and autonomous, all for a lower TCO. SciSense's in-chip analytics and open single-stack platform eliminates typical bottlenecks, providing business users with autonomy from IT and enabling businesses to get immediate insights from comprehensive access to all their data at the most granular level. SciSense maintains low TCO without the need for additional data preparation or storage tools, even as data size and complexity grows. Thank you again, SciSense. Folks, this will conclude today's webcast. Goodbye, everyone.